She texted, "I can't date an unemployed loser," and dumped me the day I was laid off. She didn't know I had a $180K severance package and a better job lined up. 6 weeks later, she saw my new truck and texted, "I believe in second chances." My reply destroyed her. I'm Zachary Coleman, 32, and I got the call at 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday morning that changed everything. Regional VP Brandon Williams wanted to see me in the main conference room on the 15th floor. In 7 years of working medical device sales, that kind of summons never meant good news. I walked down the hallway past the motivational posters about exceeding expectations and building healthcare partnerships, feeling my stomach tighten with each step. Walked into that glass-walled room and immediately knew my career at Pinnacle Medical was over. Our legal counsel, Catherine Henley, sat next to HR Director Sharon Banks, both wearing the kind of serious expressions that meant someone's world was about to get turned upside down. A stack of legal documents sat on the mahogany table between us, along with a banker's box that I somehow knew was meant for me. "Zach, I'm sure you've heard about the class action lawsuit against the company," Brandon began, adjusting his tie nervously. "The settlement terms require us to shut down all West Coast operations, including our Dallas regional office. Your position as regional sales manager is being eliminated effective immediately. Today will be your last day. 7 years with Pinnacle Medical. 7 years of building relationships with hospital administrators across Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. 7 years of hitting quotas, winning sales trips to Hawaii, getting promoted twice. Just like that, gone because some lawyers in California decided our MRI contrast agents caused kidney problems in 0.3% of patients. But here's the thing that Brandon and the legal team didn't know. I'd seen this tsunami coming from miles away. Not the exact timing, but the warning signs had been flashing red for months. We had lost the massive Harris Health contract in Houston back in February. Methodist Hospital System dropped us in March. When my direct supervisor, Jennifer Martinez, jumped ship to our biggest competitor in April, I knew it was time to start making moves. I'd been quietly updating my LinkedIn profile, taking calls from headhunters during lunch breaks, and networking at medical conferences. Actually had a verbal offer from Synergy Medical Solutions for a senior sales director position covering the entire Southwest region. Better title, better territory, and a 45% pay bump from my current $114K base salary. The official offer letter was supposed to come through any day. I just hadn't expected to need it quite this soon. The severance package, though, that caught me completely off guard in the best possible way. Company policy was traditionally 2 weeks per year of service, which would have meant 14 weeks for me. But with the class action settlement hanging over their heads, corporate had bumped everyone up significantly to avoid additional wrongful termination lawsuits. "Your severance package includes 26 weeks of full salary continuation," Sharon explained, sliding a thick folder across the table, "plus acceleration of all unvested stock options, which comes to approximately $95,000 at current market value. We're also extending Cobra health insurance coverage for 8 months at company expense." I did quick math in my head. 26 weeks at $2,200 per week after taxes, plus the stock options, plus unused PTO payout. Just over $180K total. Not exactly the financial disaster most people face when they get laid off. "We'll need you to clean out your office and return all company equipment today," Brandon continued. "Security will escort you out, but that's just standard protocol. Nothing personal." Nothing personal, right. Just the end of nearly a decade of my professional life, but nothing personal. I signed the severance agreement, packed my personal items into the banker's box, family photos, my collection of medical conference mugs, the Salesperson of the Year plaque from 2019, and walked out of Pinnacle Medical for the last time at exactly 11:47 a.m. Sitting in my Honda Accord in the parking garage, I called my girlfriend Brittany Walsh. We'd been together 18 months, just started seriously talking about moving in together. Maybe getting engaged by Christmas. She worked as an event coordinator for Enchanted Occasions, some high-end wedding venue in Deep Ellum, where rich Dallas families spent $50K on one-day parties. Always posting Instagram stories about the elaborate centerpieces and celebrity wedding planners she worked with. "Hey babe, you free? Need to talk about something important." I'm at a vendor lunch with potential florists. What's going on? Got laid off this morning. Company's shutting down the entire Dallas office due to legal issues. The silence on the other end lasted so long, I thought the call had dropped. Then her voice came back, but it sounded completely different. Cold, distant, like she was talking to a stranger. Are you serious right now? This isn't some kind of joke? No joke. It's been a rough morning, but there's actually some positive aspects with the severance package and stop. Just stop right there. I can't do this, Zach. Can't do what? It's just a temporary setback. These things happen in sales. I've got substantial savings and there are already other opportunities. No, you don't understand. I can't be with someone who doesn't have their life together. I need stability in my life. I need a partner who can provide real security, not someone dealing with unemployment and job hunting. I actually laughed, thinking she was being dramatic. Babe, this is just a corporate layoff. These things happen to successful people all the time. I'll probably have something even better lined up within a month. I've been thinking about this situation anyway, even before today. You're just not where I need you to be career-wise. I want a house in Highland Park, kids in private school, the whole successful lifestyle package, not someone starting over at 32. Starting over? What are you talking about? I'm not starting over. This is just a transition between, I'm breaking up with you, Zach. I need someone established, someone with proven long-term success, not... She paused, and I could hear her taking a breath before delivering the killing blow. Not an unemployed loser. Those 3 words hit me like a physical punch to the gut. Unemployed loser. Like I was worthless because I'd lost a job through absolutely no fault of my own. Wow. Okay then. Good to know where I stand. It's nothing personal against you as a person. I just can't waste any more time on someone who might not work out financially in the long run. Good luck with everything. She hung up. I sat in my car in that concrete parking garage for 20 minutes, just processing what had happened. A woman I'd spent a year and a half with, introduced to my parents, talked about marriage and children with, gone in 5 minutes because I got caught in corporate downsizing. Didn't cry, wasn't even that angry, which surprised me, just profoundly disappointed. I saw who Brittany Walsh really was when things got complicated. When I needed support the most, she kicked me when I was down and walked away without looking back. I drove home to my apartment in Uptown, cracked open a Shiner Bock, and checked my email. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. The official offer letter from Synergy Medical Solutions had come through at 10:15 a.m., right while I was getting dumped in a parking garage. I opened the PDF and nearly choked on my beer. The compensation package was even better than the verbal offer. Base salary of $165,000, which was actually a 45% increase from my Pinnacle salary once I calculated it properly, plus commission structure that could easily push total compensation over $200K if I hit targets, full benefits, company car allowance, expense account, and a signing bonus of $15,000. Start date was 6 weeks out. They wanted me to take some time off before diving into the new territory. I called my college buddy Mason Rodriguez, who'd become a financial advisor after we graduated from UT. If anyone could help me navigate this sudden windfall, it was Mason. Zach, how's the medical device business treating you? Actually, I just got laid off this morning, but it's not what you think. Can you come over tonight? I need some investment advice. 2 hours later, Mason was sitting at my kitchen table with his laptop, helping me create a financial strategy that would set me up for life. We spread out all the paperwork, severance agreement, new job offer, my existing 401k statements, savings account balances. Okay, so you've got $180K in severance money plus $95K in stock options that are about to vest, Mason said, typing numbers into his spreadsheet. And you don't start the new job for 6 weeks. This is actually an incredible opportunity to optimize your finances. We spent the next 3 hours creating a plan. First priority? Pay off all high-interest debt. My Honda Accord still had $14,000 left on the loan at 4.2% APR. Credit cards had about $8,000 total. Not bad for someone my age, but why pay interest when I had cash? Second priority? Maximize tax-advantaged accounts. I could still contribute the full $22,500 to my 401k for the year, plus the $6,500 catch-up contribution. After debt payoff and maxing out retirement accounts, you'll still have about 120,000 liquid, Mason explained. I'd recommend putting $50K in a high-yield savings account as your emergency fund and investing the other $70K in a diversified portfolio of index funds. Conservative approach, but you'll be earning instead of just sitting on cash. The math was beautiful. In 6 weeks, I'd start making 45% more than my old salary, with zero debt and a substantial investment portfolio. Getting laid off was turning into the best thing that ever happened to my finances. Mason packed up his laptop around midnight. By the way, I'm sorry about Brittany. Jennifer told me what happened. Jennifer? My wife? She's friends with Brittany's coworker at the wedding venue. Word travels fast in Dallas social circles. I'd forgotten that Mason's wife moved in those same upscale event planning circles where Brittany worked. What's she saying? That you got fired for performance issues and you're basically broke, making herself sound like the responsible one who couldn't afford to support a deadbeat boyfriend. Performance issues? I hit 127% of quota last year, won the fucking sales trip to Maui. I know, man, just giving you a heads up that she's spinning a narrative. People who know you aren't buying it, but she's definitely trying to control the story. After Mason left, I sat on my couch thinking about that. Brittany was out there rewriting history, painting herself as the victim of a relationship with a loser. The irony was incredible. While she was telling people I was broke and desperate, I was sitting on more money than I'd ever had in my life. Week 1 of unemployment was strange. For 7 years, I'd been up at 5:30 a.m., checking emails, planning hospital visits, managing client relationships. Suddenly, I had nowhere to be, no quotas to hit, no meetings to attend. The silence was actually peaceful. Brittany's best friend Jennifer Parsons texted me on Wednesday. Hey, just wanted to check on you. Heard what happened with the job and everything. That breakup was really harsh timing. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Taking some time to decompress. She's telling everyone you're broke and desperately job hunting. Just wanted you to know that those of us who actually know you aren't buying it. We remember how successful you've always been. I appreciate that more than you know. For what it's worth, I think she made a huge mistake. You're one of the good guys. That conversation confirmed what Mason had told me. Brittany was actively working to damage my reputation, making sure everyone in our social circle believed I was a failure she'd been smart to dump. Week 2, I started my financial plan in earnest, drove to Chase Bank and paid off my car loan in full. The banker looked confused when I handed over a cashier's check for $14,000. You sure you don't want to keep the loan and invest the money instead? Your interest rate is pretty low. Nope. Want it gone. Walking out of that bank completely debt-free felt incredible. Brittany had called me an unemployed loser, but unemployed losers don't pay off cars with cash. Week 3 brought another interesting text, this time from Brittany's cousin Danny Walsh, who I'd always gotten along with at family gatherings. Dude, you got screwed over. Heard about the layoff and the breakup. My cousin can be pretty intense about money stuff. Always has been. Her dad left when she was young and stuck my aunt with a bunch of debt. Financial security is like an obsession with her. That explains some things. Not my problem anymore, though. Fair enough. Just wanted you to know that most of the family thinks she handled it badly. You were good to her. Thanks, man. Means a lot. I was starting to see the pattern. Brittany's reaction wasn't really about me or my job. It was about her own deep-seated fears around money and abandonment. Her father had walked out when she was 12, leaving her mother Helen to raise 2 daughters alone while struggling financially. In her mind, any man who lost a job was just another version of her father, unreliable, likely to disappear, financially dangerous. Understanding her psychology didn't make what she'd said hurt any less, but it helped explain the extreme reaction. To her, I hadn't just lost a job. I'd become a threat to the security she'd spent her entire adult life trying to build. By week 4, I'd settled into a routine that I actually enjoyed. Sleep until 8 a.m. instead of 5:30. Hit the gym at Lifetime Fitness when it wasn't crowded. Read books I'd been meaning to get to for years. Take long lunches at restaurants I'd never had time to try. For the first time since college, I wasn't constantly stressed about quotas, client meetings, or hospital politics. I also started interviewing with other companies, not because I needed to, but because I was curious about my market value. Turns out, 7 years of successful medical device sales in Texas made me pretty attractive to competitors. Abbott offered me $172K to move to Austin. Medtronic wanted me in Houston for $168K plus a company car. Both offers were higher than what I'd accepted at Synergy, but I stuck with my original commitment. Week 5, I made a decision that would change everything. I'd been driving the same Honda Accord for 6 years. Reliable, practical, boring as hell. With $70K sitting in my checking account and a new job starting soon, I decided it was time for an upgrade. And in Texas, that meant a truck. Spent Saturday morning at several dealerships in Plano looking at F-150s. The salesman at Courtesy Ford, a guy named Michael Peterson, showed me everything from basic work trucks to fully loaded Platinums. But when I saw the 2024 F-150 Raptor sitting in the showroom, I knew that was it. Midnight black, aggressive stance, 37-inch tires, twin-turbo V6 that could haul ass when needed. Everything about it screamed confidence and success. The kind of truck that said its owner had made it in life. "That's our top-of-the-line performance truck," Michael explained. "Fully loaded, leather, premium sound system, advanced driver assistance, the works. MSRP is $74, these now $195. I'll take it. Don't you want to hear about financing options? We have great rates right now. 2.9% APR for qualified buyers. Cash." Michael's eyes widened. "Cash for the full amount? Is that a problem?" "No, sir. No problem at all. Just don't see many cash purchases on vehicles this expensive. Let me get the paperwork started." An hour later, I drove off the lot in my new Raptor, feeling like a completely different person. The previous owner of this truck wouldn't have let Brittany Walsh dump him over a temporary job loss. The previous owner of this truck was successful, established, and didn't take shit from anyone. Saturday afternoon, I needed groceries and decided to check out the Whole Foods in Preston Center. I'd heard they had an excellent prepared food section, and I wanted to celebrate my new truck with a good meal. Parked the Raptor in the lot and headed inside. The store was busy, typical weekend crowd of affluent North Dallas residents buying organic everything and artisanal cheese. I grabbed a cart and started shopping, enjoying the simple pleasure of buying whatever I wanted without checking prices. That's when I saw her. Brittany was sitting at one of the outdoor tables with 2 of her girlfriends, probably discussing wedding planning strategies or gossiping about their social circle. She spotted my truck first, did a complete double take, then looked around until she saw me loading groceries into my cart through the window. Her jaw literally dropped. I could see her saying something to her friends, who both turned to stare. One of them pointed at the Raptor, clearly commenting on how expensive it looked. I took my time shopping, bought the good steaks, premium beer, fancy cheese I'd never tried. If she wanted to watch me through the window, she could watch me shopping like someone who had money to burn. When I came back out, she was standing next to my truck with her friends, clearly examining it. They scattered when they saw me approaching, but Brittany held her ground. "Nice truck," she said, trying to sound casual but failing completely. Her voice had that fake cheerful tone she used when she was fishing for information. "Thanks." I kept loading groceries, not looking at her directly. "Wait, can we talk for a second?" I stopped and faced her. "Make it quick." She stood up straighter, trying to regain some composure. Her friends were watching from about 10 feet away, pretending to be deep in conversation, but obviously listening to every word. "Wow, a Raptor. That's like, what, $70,000? How did you manage? The severance package was that good? Used it smart. That's incredible. I'm really happy for you." The fake smile was painful to watch. "So, what are you doing now?" "Still looking for work. Start my new job Monday. Senior sales director position. Better territory, better company than Pinnacle." Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Shock, confusion, regret, panic, and then something that looked like calculation. That's amazing. Wow." Long pause while she processed. "Look, I know we left things badly. You dumped me and called me an unemployed loser." Her friends shifted uncomfortably. She looked embarrassed, but pressed on. "I was emotional, scared. I didn't mean those things the way they sounded." "Yeah, you did, but it's fine. Worked out for both of us." "I've been thinking about you," she said quickly, reaching for my arm. "About us. I made a mistake. I was frightened about the future, and I overreacted to a temporary situation. I looked at her hand on my arm, then at her face. She had that look, the one she used when she wanted something expensive. Same expression she'd made when hinting about the Tiffany bracelet she wanted for her birthday. No. What? I said no. I don't date people who think love comes with employment conditions. You showed me exactly who you are when things got hard. I believe in second chances too, for people who deserve them. You don't. Her face went red. Are you serious? After everything we had together? Everything we had lasted until I lost my job. That's not everything. That's barely anything. I made one mistake. You made a choice. A calculated choice. You even said you'd been thinking about it anyway. So no, I don't want to talk. I don't want dinner. I want you to live with the consequences of choosing a paycheck over a person. Her friends were now openly staring. One of them had her phone out, probably recording for social media. Brittany realized she was creating a scene. You're being cruel, she said, lowering her voice. I'm being clear. We're done. Permanently. I got in my truck and drove away, checking the rearview mirror. She was just standing there in the parking lot, looking lost. Her friends had surrounded her, probably asking what the hell had just happened. I felt pretty good about it, honestly. For 6 weeks, she'd been telling everyone I was a broke loser she'd been smart to dump. Now she knew the truth, and it was killing her. But apparently, Brittany wasn't done. Not even close. Monday morning, I started my new job at Synergy Medical Solutions. The Houston office was everything I'd hoped for. Modern building, professional team, cutting-edge medical technology to sell. My new territory covered Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Bigger responsibility, better commission structure, actual growth potential. My manager, Diana Foster, was a former OR nurse who'd transitioned into sales management. She understood the medical field from the provider side, which made her incredibly effective at training sales reps. During my first week orientation, she mentioned that several hospitals in my territory had been asking about switching from Pinnacle devices even before the lawsuit. You're going to do very well here, Zach. Your reputation preceded you. Methodist Hospital specifically asked if we could get you on our team. Life was good. New job was challenging, but rewarding. My investment portfolio was growing steadily. I had paid off all my debt and was living completely stress-free for the first time in years. The only dark cloud was that Brittany had apparently lost her mind. It started with her showing up at my apartment complex. Preston Towers was a secure building. You needed a key fob to get into the parking garage. But she'd sit in the visitor spaces for hours, clearly hoping to run into me. First time I saw her white BMW, I thought it was coincidence. Second time, I took photos with timestamps. Third time, I called the non-emergency police line. Officer Martinez came out and took my statement, then talked to Brittany and returned. She says she's visiting a friend who lives here, claims she didn't know you lived in this complex. That's a lie. She doesn't know anyone here, and we broke up specifically because she thought I couldn't afford this place. She left after that conversation, but was back 2 days later. Then she started showing up at restaurants near my office. Tuesday of my third week, I walked into Corner Bakery and saw her sitting alone. She immediately approached me. Please stop avoiding me. We need closure. You got closure when I told you we're done. I'll keep showing up until you listen. That's called stalking. It's called fighting for someone you love. I left and ate in my truck, feeling unsettled. This wasn't normal post-breakup behavior. The breaking point came during my monthly poker night with my college friends. Around 9:30 p.m., right in the middle of a hand, someone knocked on my door. Hard, insistent knocking. I know you're in there, Zach. I can hear voices. My 3 buddies, Mason, Drew, Foster the lawyer, and Carlos Martinez from our old fraternity, all looked at me with raised eyebrows. Is that your crazy ex? Carlos whispered. I went to the door, keeping the chain lock engaged. Brittany, you need to leave. Now. Just let me in. I brought wine. We can all hang out like adults. Drew came to the door. Ma'am, he's asked you to leave multiple times. You should go, before this becomes a legal issue. She looked past us and saw Mason and Carlos watching. This is ridiculous. You're all acting like I'm some kind of criminal. You dumped me for losing my job, then started stalking me when you found out I got a better one, I said loud enough for my friends to hear. That's really what happened? Carlos asked. She dumped you over a layoff? Called me an unemployed loser and hung up. Jesus, that's cold. Brittany's face went red with embarrassment. Fine, be childish, but this conversation isn't over. After she left, Drew was particularly concerned. Dude, this is textbook harassment. She's showing up at your home, following you to restaurants. You need to document everything and consider a restraining order. 2 days later, she proved Drew right by showing up at my office. Walked right into the Synergy building, told reception she was my girlfriend, and asked to see me. Ex-girlfriend, we broke up months ago. I don't want to see her. Security handled it, but she texted from another new number. Really? You had security turn me away? I just wanted to congratulate you properly. I forwarded everything to HR. Within an hour, Synergy's legal department had sent her a formal letter banning her from company property. That evening, I finally took Drew's advice and met with Catherine Henley, a lawyer who specialized in protection orders. I brought my entire file, photos, text screenshots, witness statements. Mr. Coleman, you absolutely have grounds for a restraining order. This behavior pattern shows clear escalation. I filed the paperwork that afternoon. Court date was set for the following Tuesday. The hearing was straightforward. I arrived at the courthouse at 9 a.m. with Drew for support. Brittany was there with her mother, Helen, and some guy in a cheap suit who I assumed was her lawyer. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, called our case. Brittany's lawyer went first, claiming this was miscommunication between two people who recently ended a romantic relationship. Your Honor, I responded, I've asked her repeatedly to stop contacting me. She's shown up at my home, workplace, and restaurants I frequent. I've never initiated contact since our breakup. I handed over my documentation folder. The judge spent several minutes reviewing it, her expression growing increasingly concerned. Ma'am, she said to Brittany, you've contacted him how many times after he blocked your number? Brittany stood up. We were together for 18 months. You don't just throw that away. You threw it away by showing up at his workplace after he blocked you multiple times. The judge's expression hardened. I'm granting the temporary protection order. Ma'am, you are to have no contact with the petitioner, no phone calls, texts, emails, or social media contact. You are not to go within 500 feet of his residence or workplace. This order is effective immediately and will remain in effect for 1 year. Do you understand? Brittany's face crumpled. This is insane. I love him. That's not relevant to these proceedings. You're harassing him. It needs to stop. As we left, her mother tried to approach me. Drew stepped between us. You got what you wanted, Helen said. Hope you're happy. I wanted to be left alone. That's it. She loved you. She loved the idea of me when I was successful. When I wasn't, she called me an unemployed loser. That's not love. That was 8 months ago. Life's been incredible since then. Exceeded my sales targets by 28% in my first quarter at Synergy. Got promoted to regional VP last month. The position Brandon used to hold at Pinnacle. Making $195K base now, plus bonuses that should push me over $250K this year. Started dating Amanda Foster, a pediatric nurse at Children's Medical Center. Met her through Mason's wife at a barbecue. She doesn't care about my truck or salary. We talk about books, travel, her work saving kids' lives. She's genuine, kind, and sees me as a person, not a paycheck. The protection order is still in effect, and I haven't heard from Brittany once. No texts, no surprise appearances, no drama. Just peace and the satisfying knowledge that someone who threw me away when I was down can't be part of my life now that I'm thriving. Some stories do have happy endings. This is one of them.